oh my God, this must be a good one, I'm going to cling on to him. Well, you know, I mean, so we got to really start working on our codependency issues with our children, with our partners, with our jobs, with our things, because it's making us depressed. Sex. You know, I just did the Finding Freedom conference last week, and some of you were there. We talked about some great new horizons in sex, and intimacy, and relationship possibilities. And, you know, the kids now are gender expanded. We're not. Over 50 now, we're not. But they are. So they're all about the pansexual and the multiple relationships, and, oh, today I'm with a woman, tomorrow I'm with a man, and they're okay with it. You can have an intimate relationship that doesn't need to be sexual with people of the same sex that might give you more satisfaction than some of the relationships you're hunting down on Tinder. Oh, is that Tinder? Have we done that? I don't know. I went on there once, and I always said I wanted somebody about 5 to 10 years younger than me, and it was always the women 5 to 10 years older than me who wrote to me. It's like, what part of my bio can't you read? But that aside, I tend to be bisexual. And I learned last week at this conference that my sexual fantasies were okay. You know, Erica Jong said it years ago, this whole idea of a zipless fuck, and we never had an avenue for it for women. He talked about this, and I was there like, yeah, you can go, but he's talking more about men, but women, expand your fantasy life. If you're there, because it certainly beats being depressed. Yes. Behaviors. Let's talk about behaviors that you might not even know are addictive and a sign of your depression. Food disorder. Stacy touched on that. I worked with somebody with a food disorder this summer, and it was I do soul coaching, and I tend to work with a few clients at a time because I do have a full-time job, and I tend to work with really high-profile clients. Don't ask me why, it's spirit-driven. And I saw what a real food disorder looked like, and it was really surprising to me. But the same person had a like disorder. We live in a like culture. All right. Who posted on Facebook today, or Instagram? Or Twitter? Uh-oh. Probably not.
Yeah, I posted you.
Okay. Good. Who looks to see how many people have liked their posts? Who gets off like, oh, I had 28 likes on my Instagram? This is me. Huh, I have 1,300 followers on Instagram. How come I only have 28 likes? It's become a disorder. This one client I was working with spent more money than most of you earn in a year on a company that gave her likes. Another area for you treatment providers is there's nowhere to go yet for women with the like disorder. You know, what I tell my people in my WIN tribe is that my goal for you is for each of you to go back to your community and build a face-to-face tribe. Because Facebook is so misleading. You think you're connected to people all over the world, but what it's creating is more isolation, more separation, and more depression.
Amen, yes.
You agree with that?
I absolutely agree.
You can clap. My father was a gambler. I'm too cheap. Risky behaviors of all sorts. Texting while you're driving. You know, going out and having sex because you want to have sex and it's going to be okay, but remember, all those men have STDs. Or most people do. I mean, let's just get real quick. So, unprotected sex. Have all the sex you want, but protect yourself. Shopping. Easy. Now they've made it so easy to shop, like this new Stitch. They're going to send you things you like. And I don't know if you're about me, but I had to ship 50 wind whistles in December, and I was getting tired of going to the post office. So then, if you don't ship that stuff back, because clothes have become throwaway. Oh, I'll wear this because they make it so cheap, 3 times and it's out in the trash. So we're creating an unsustainable commodity. Signs, you guys all know these are restriction or overuse of a substance, isolation, STDs, depression, anxiety, risky behaviors. And this is a concern because dependence develops faster in women, especially during menopause. Women are prescribed medication twice as much as men, and biology is working against you, ladies. 48,000 women died of prescription-related overdoses between 1999 and 2010. This was an increase of 400% in women versus 237% in men. Twice as many women are dying because of prescription drugs, which might look like other things. So you might not even know they're addicted because they could have liver failure or cancer or breast cancer. All of these things are when the fatty cells start to store up these things that then create disease. The diseases and the depression. I don't have to go. But this is why. This is the $1 million piece here. And you're hearing it here first. So, in shamanism, let me just show you this part. There's a space and time continuum. Hyperproduction and sales. Oh, great, where did I get that? Thank you. Could you just point that out for me? We've become commodities. And it's becoming more so because the healthcare industry understands that they are so accurate now. My friend Anka, who's in her 80s, who happens to be very healthy, they send the doctor to her now. Why? Because she doesn't want to do the telesymmetry. Because one of my friends who sold healthcare equipment for years told me they've got it figured out exactly how much money you're going to cost to keep alive between the ages of 50 and 80. Do you see a serious little problem there? So if you start to live too long, you're a burden on the insurance and on the system. So I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying. No, I'm really not a conspiracy. I read what they say just so I know what they say, so I know what the other side's saying. But the truth of the matter is you are the person who can combat this. You are definitely the person to combat this by taking better care of yourself, by disengaging from the things that are keeping you depressed, and getting back into nature, which we're going to talk about with the wind. And you know what the biggest problem with this system is? Besides for that you become a commodity, is that they've got it in life cycles. But what the problem is now is if you look at it, we're supposed to work from 20 to 60, right? People are working till they're 85. Because the way the system has been worked in this timeline, time-space thing, it's not working anymore because time and space are collapsing all around us, and so the old paradigm is not working. And, I don't know about you, but when I think I got to work till I'm 85, I'm lucky I got the wind. I'm going to offer you a different way of looking at this. Instead of looking at it as a commodity, if you started to look at your life based in nature, and this is really what we look like, based on a nature-based system. Remember, 10,000 years ago, we moved away from this when we moved what? Into the factories, into the cities, because we needed workforce. It was all about the workforce. And we moved further and further away from nature. Now kids go onto their TV screens to see the forest and do their 3D thing. Get your kids out in nature, get your grandkids out in nature, because that's where the answers live. Because I kind of did an overlay of this. I asked my graphic designer to make me one of my own because I think this is absolutely brilliant. I'll say it myself. And I only say it because I think there's a real good model here for therapists and stuff, is that if we look at our life, oh, I guess I get to do that. If we look at our life in terms of a cycle, that we're born, then we're daughters, then we're maidens, then we're mothers, and we're queens, and we're thrones, it makes a whole lot more sense to understand that we're moving from the queen to the crone, or somewhere in this 50 age, where we have different responsibilities that aren't based on how much we produce in the marketplace. And I know some of the people here who do business development with me, and we talk about that we've matured, we've become smarter, we have relationships. We don't have to do it the same way, but the way the system's rigged is that's the way they want you to do it, so that you can fall off the other end and die when you're done. You know, and I don't think of death that way because I'm a shaman, and I think I've died a lot of times, because I'm going to show you each and every time in the next slide how many times I died. The other part they're not talking about is, did you see that space-time continuum I showed you? It's a straight line. Well, shamans have known for tens of thousands of years that life is not a straight line, and time doesn't fly forward like an arrow. Each and every one of those time frames has its own cycle. And so, see these little, I'm going to show you again. Where's my, do I have a little thing? Right on, I might. In here, these little gaps, that's where the healing happens. That's where that's the jumping off place between each cycle that takes time and space. Usually I work with a lot of, I have a lot of high profile clients. I don't know why I said that. Maybe it was because of We Care. That, you know, just launched me into a client base like that. But, you know, a lot of my clients go in and out of the White House and stuff like that. And the only reason I say that is because those women are spiritual too. And they've made it a lot in their life. But a lot of times I get these women right before they turn 70. And they say, Renee, I got to get off all of these boards, you know, blah, blah. They're working harder. And because what happens is when we go from the queen into the crone, women they know how to be, so there's this gap. I call it a 3-year gap between the end of one cycle and the time you get really ready to do something new in your life. So in the work that I teach, I teach a wind mastery program, and I teach it's a seasonal program. I teach it in the spring and the fall, and it's about, the fall program is about preparing yourself for the hibernation. We don't get out and, you know, we make these New Year's resolutions, but why? Why on earth would you make a New Year's resolution when your seeds are germinating in the cold earth? Instead, oh, I'm going to get on a diet and I'm going to do this. And most people, they're done by the 10th. Because it's not the right time to set your plans into action. So that same cycle, that birth, that daughter, the baby, you could look at your year in the same way. And imagine if you took back the power and started to look at your year in the same way as nature. And I use that tree in there because it was just perfect to show you that a tree knows its place. And it's not in the timeline that we've been given, and no wonder we're depressed. Who wouldn't be depressed when you're so out of sync with nature? I know I've been a Debbie Downer. Probably thinking I might as well just go home, take all my oxycodone now. But we can heal. One of the problems we have right now in residential treatment programs is very few people are dealing with women over 50. They've made a really nice niche over in Palm Desert here working with women over 30, but what do you think a woman over 50 has to tell a young boy over 20 in the treatment center environment? They're going to jump into their codependent, their caring, their mothering. So we need more places for women over 50 to gather. So wherever you live, start your book clubs, your talk circles, because what the shaman taught me in Chile all those years ago was women don't craft. They don't craft anymore. And what is crafting about? It's around sitting at a table together. We made drumstick things. So, you know, it didn't matter what you make. Vision boards. I make wind flags, prayer flags. It's about cooking a meal together with friends. We moved away from there to showing people on Facebook what we did for dinner. So as therapists, you know, if you're really looking for a specialty, Jeannie, are you listening?
Yes, I am.
Okay. She wants to do specialty retreats. Gear them to women over 50 because we need a place to go. We need a place to talk about how we're going to move from being queens to crones. You know, the 12-step support groups. Somebody told me yesterday that a lot of kids don't even think that they, I think it was Jean, that the kids aren't buying into the 12-step model. Well, then deconstruct it for them. Change it. They're dying. You're not. You're here. So if they can't hear the message, it might be time for a enlivening of the message. And trust me, the inventory process saved my life. And you know what? I use the inventory process with all of these coaching clients that I have, those who aren't even addicts, because in the big book it says, these ways have its usefulness for all. Give it to them in a way that they can hear it. Your nutrition. I love cheeseburgers still. But I can't eat them all the time. And so I don't, because I've started to pay more attention to how I feel in my body, and I feel better when I go to Whole Foods and get 4 juices for the week.
Yeah.
And someone said, well, that's a whole paycheck. Yeah, it is, but you know what? I have a big message to deliver from the winds, and I need to be able to show up to do it. So what's your message? Is it big and strong enough to get you out of bed every day to say, hell yeah?
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Say it. Community outreach. I send a lot of my clients who are lost to temple. I send them back to church. I send them to Christian churches. I send them wherever they need to go, because one of the things that happened between the cycle of the last generation and this generation is our parents told us it was important to go to church while they stayed in bed. My mother worked in the barroom. She dropped me off every Sunday at church, went home back to bed. So then the next generation, they didn't even bother sending their kids to church. We've lost our rituals. So, you know, we've lost our way. We've lost the way for the next people. And so everyone runs around saying, I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious. Find the wind. Find something that really holds you, because you know what? What I found from the wind is it tells me when I'm out of integrity. I'll take a nightly wind walk and say, you know, you really, and the wind will give me messages when I'm out of integrity that make me get back in alignment. Like when my other boss used to say, you can't bring the wind work to work. I used to laugh because I bring the wind everywhere I go. But I decided that there was 2 options I had in that moment. I either changed my attitude around him, or I left my job that was a little secure at the moment. And so I decided to change my attitude around him, and we became really good friends before he retired. And, you know, then my job changed again. Spiritual practices. I've been doing the Joe Dispenza wake-up morning meditation for the last month, for 2 months. It's 20 minutes, 18 minutes. I do it before I get out of bed, before I look at my iPhone. I turn it on and I listen to it, and it gives me more spaciousness in my day. You know, you've got to do in practices like windward. I don't know how I'm doing. How am I doing?
Good.
Okay. 5 minutes. Okay, I got to give you a wind experience. All right. So I'm selling wind books and I'm selling wind whistles, but you're not going to buy any of it if you don't hear a wind. So I'm going to tell you about it. I already wove this in here, but I just want to tell you a couple more things about it. The cardinal winds have held the structure of our civilization forever. Go back before the tablets, they're on the caves. We have structured this reality in the wind since the beginning. The wind you breathe today is the same wind they were breathing 10,000, a billion years ago. So when you hear about, like, I can't do that because it's a different culture, guess what? The winds told me the information was on the wind long before anyone heard it. But then people adapted it to, did you switch me? I didn't do that. The wind wanted you to see their book. That's funny. I didn't touch it down then. But the wind was on the, so what I did was I pulled a wind for you. And I'm going to blow the wind in for here because I only have a couple minutes left. And then you can come see me if you want to know more about it, or if you think I'm crazy, you can just kind of, oops. Where did I go there? I wanted that last one so you can see the book. Because I'm a good, all right, because I'm a good businesswoman. All right, here we are, stay on the hook. All right, so I just pulled, remember I told you before religion people were wind believers? They were. In Turkey, which is now Muslim primarily, the people who roamed the desert were the Yaruk, and they were wind believers. And there was a wind mother. A lot of these are wind mothers, ladies. And I found out about them as I did 5 years of research going culture to culture. There's 32 cultures in this book, all well researched, all well documented. Hay House did the footnotes 3 times to make sure that everything I said was correct. They couldn't prove it was true, but it was correct. And so I just pulled Yelana for you. And she's the wind mother, and you can come over and I'll leave a book over here for you to read about her. But she's the wind mother of guidance, because remember, as the nomads went through the desert, they'd have to go through hundreds of miles of shifting sand to get from their winter place to their summer place, and it was the wind that taught them. It was the wind that guided them. So the message for you today is to pause, reflect, and accept. And I'm going to blow the wind whistle. And on the first wind whistle, I want you to see yourself grounding to nature. Send those roots way down into the earth. On the second wind breath, I want you to call to Yelana. See how she comes to you, and then you can share with me later at my booth. And on the third one, create a protective bubble around yourself so that you can navigate, because remember, sailors only navigate from their ship, from their wheelhouse. You cannot navigate your life from somebody else's wheelhouse. So everyone put your feet on the floor. And remember, the first one connects you to the earth. And then the second one, we're calling the Turkish wind god Yelana in to inform us as we pause, reflect, and accept. And on the third one, we're going to create an energy popo around ourselves and around this room, so that we're all protected, so that as we receive this information, it's divinely inspired. Well, that shifted the energy in the room. Thank you.
I know we're all very sweet right now.